Hey everyone, so my name is Kayla Waters, and I interviewed my friend Zach for this case study. And Zach's disability is called unilateral hearing loss. And unilateral hearing loss means that hearing is normal in one ear, but there is hearing loss in another ear. And in Zach's case, he has hearing loss in his left ear. And then just a little bit about Zach. So Zach is from Mapleton, Utah. He is from a family of 5. He wants to become a doctor after he goes to med school, and he was working as an EMT and received his license back in May. And Zach enjoys wrestling and fighting. He often watches UFC fights, and Zach dislikes vegetables, singing, and large crowds of people. And we can kind of get into that a little bit later, why that is. And right now, Zach lives in Provo and is attending UVU. He's studying biology, and when he was younger, he got sick a ton and had a lot of ear infections. And doctors speculate that this was a possible cause of his hearing loss, but they haven't really given him a definite answer to why he lost his hearing in his left ear. And a typical day in Zach's life is pretty much like the rest of ours. He's really normal, can live a normal life with his hearing loss. He goes to school in the morning, does homework, comes home, relaxes, watches TV. He loves hanging out with friends, playing video games, and wrestling when he can. Some of the challenges that Zach faces, most people with hearing loss or unilateral hearing loss, can be difficult for him to communicate with other people. For Zach, he basically can't hear anything out of his left ear, and this can be hard for him when people try to talk to him on his left side, or when they come and approach him on that side. It can be hard for him to discern whether they are talking to him or someone else, and so he has to pay extra attention to those sorts of situations. And then another challenge he faces is when it's super loud, like he's in a crowd of people or at an event. It can be hard for him to distinguish conversations or important sounds, where they're coming from. So he has to pay extra attention in those situations too, to understand what people are saying, and he can understand what people are saying better when he's watching their mouths, so he has to pay extra attention through that way as well. Okay, and then some of the assistive technologies that people with unilateral hearing loss use. The main thing is a hearing aid, and as you can see in the picture, it's super discreet. There's even some that just go inside your ear that can help, but with different cases, it can be different for different people. For Zach, he experienced his hearing loss later on in his childhood, and he got used to living without a hearing aid. And even when his parents offered to get him one, or it was recommended by physicians, he just decided to never get one since he's used to life without one. So when we were discussing new assistive technologies that Zach could use, hearing aids is probably the most common technology to use when you have unilateral hearing loss. So we had to really try to research some other assistive technologies that could help him. And there weren't a ton of other resources other than hearing aids and surgery that could help with his hearing loss. So other than those two things, we found some things that he could do with his iPhone that could benefit him. There's one option that he could change the balance of the volume coming out of his speakers from the left and right. So in Zach's case, since he's deaf in his left ear, he could switch it over to the right side, the volume coming out of his speaker on the right side, so that he could hear from his iPhone a little bit better coming from his right side. And Zach said this would be pretty helpful for him. He wasn't aware that this was a thing, so he decided that he would be able to try it out and see how it could help him in his life. And then other than that, Zach lives a pretty normal life. He's very successful. He's a certified EMT, and he's on track to graduate early from college. And yeah, Zach is just the perfect example of living a good life even with a disability.